The Necron previews and leaks just continue to roll in. We've now got a look at the 9th edition Codex cover for Necrons, and some better pictures of the Skorpekh Destroyers. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy-focused 40k channel, where we've been covering the unfolding developments of 9th edition over the last few days. It seems that once the initial drop has come out, people can't seem to help themselves but leak repeatedly more pictures of the models that will be coming out alongside it. There's two main new images that I want to talk about today, the Codex cover and the better look the Skorpekh Destroyers and their Canoptic Plasma site, I believe it's called. And also another couple of details from the big Necron photo that Games Workshop showed us the other day that I had unfortunately missed in the previous video, but eagle-eyed people down in the comments were quick to point out to me. Let's jump right into it then and talk about that Codex cover. So someone recently messaged me to tell me that this was a thing, and I believe that it first appeared on the internet over on the War of Sigmar blog, but I've got no idea whether it was originally sent to them or whether or not they found it somewhere else on the internet. I'll link the article down below in the YouTube description anyway. In any case, what we seem to be looking at is a Necron Codex cover that looks like it's halfway through the design process. I think that this is an interesting little insight into how Games Workshop makes their Codex covers, which, if you are paying attention to them, usually do go with this theme. They have really quite a big meaty image of a big battlescape showing the faction, and focus in on the focal point of that, which takes the place of the picture on the Codex cover. The rest generally loops around the sides and onto the back, and you can usually see the full piece of art somewhere elsewhere in the publication. Quite clearly what we have here is a Skorpekh Lord, the big three-legged chap that seems to be headlining the Necron release, and we see him in that animated trailer that they made for Warhammer 40k. It looks pretty legitimate to me. It looks exactly the sort of artwork that we see on the Codex, resplendent with that new Warhammer 40,000 logo, and they've clearly got some formatting marks around the word Necrons at the bottom, meaning that this really does look like a Codex cover to me, and I'm certainly convinced. The original image does seem to be very washed out for whatever reason, so I had a bit of a play around with some of the image settings in my own very basic way, just upping the colour saturation and contrast a little bit, so we could see what was going on a little bit more easily. They're definitely showcasing the new, more coppery colours of the Necron dynasty, and we don't just have silver robots in space as the poster child of the Necrons anymore. If you want a slightly closer up look at the image, then here is one. When you've zoomed in a bit, you can see a few more of the slightly more fine details. Up on the top right, over the left shoulder of the Skorpekh Lord, it looks like we've got one of those tall, lanky Canoptek constructs on the spindly legs, with those three orbs of light somewhere near the top of the thing. And towards the bottom left, I believe that this is one of the characters from that starter set. The image is hidden in the website from Sunday. I'm not sure whether he's some sort of minor lord, but he seemed to be armed with just a big version of a Gauss gun, and he looked like a fairly generic warrior leader or sergeant to me. I don't think he's just an immortal though, as those veins over the top of his head do seem to be quite distinctive. Moving on, we also have some pictures of the Skorpekh Destroyers. This was a name that had already seen mentioned on the internet quite a bit, and the person who's leaked this image also seemed to have included the text of that in the image itself, so let's go with that one for now. These also seem to be some of the main poster boys of the new Necrons. After all, I believe it's the guy on the top who we saw the Sister of Battle fighting against in that animated trailer. I found the spelling of Skorpekh interesting as well. I believe when they revealed the Skorpekh Lord on the Warhammer community post, they spelt it with just a C at the end, which is why I named it that in the title of my video. I'm pretty certain that I didn't make an error with that, as I went back to check that about 3 times, because it's just a very unnatural word to spell. I see that on that Warhammer community website post now, that has been changed to KH at the end. I can only presume that someone on the Warhammer community team also had issues with the spelling of the word, so I suspect that it probably is KH, seeing as it's changed to that, and it's also spelt that way here. If we take a bit of a closer look at them now, naturally it's a little bit blurry just due to the quality of the images, but they really do seem like pretty cool and dynamic miniatures, although I must say that the size of their blades are somewhat ludicrous, particularly the enormous two-handed variant that we can see on the left. I'm going to guess that the big two-handed variant is the Squad Sergeant, and as the other two are the same with the two mini power blades, they're probably going to be variants with more attacks, but a bit less hard-hitting. I hope they're reasonably effective in-game. Warhammer 40k isn't famed for being overly kind to ground-based troops with only assault weapons, so I'm hoping that they're going to be either quite fast or quite durable to make up for that. I'm sure they will hit hard either way. Looking at the other two now, this one's going for a bit more of a hacking-slashing type of pose, and then we have this curious little support character, which is apparently a Canoptic Plasma site, who isn't looking overly aggressive to be honest. I guess he's just going to buff the unit in some way in-game. I think it's quite interesting the little bit of ruin that he's perched on. Looks like it's definitely a Necron ruin as opposed to an Imperial one. Finally, I just wanted to mention a couple of things from the Games Workshop image that they showed us on Sunday, a couple of bits that I missed but people in the comments spotted, including this little mini obelisk or plasma terrain type piece that I could certainly believe could be a terrain kit for the Necrons. It would fit in with the similar things that they've done for other races, and in particular it reminds me of the sort of thing that you might see for Necrons, similar to an Orc Mechboy Workshop, or a Chaos Space Marine Noctilith Crown, or a Nurgle Feculent Narmor. I definitely don't think that this one's by any means guaranteed. It could just literally be a interesting thing that they have set up on the table to make it look a bit more Necron-y, although it does look pretty well designed and made. I'm not sure what we're looking at just to the right of it, if that's another piece that's almost exactly the same but not quite, or whether it's something that's been superimposed onto the background. I wouldn't like to call this one either way at the moment, but it's certainly a possibility in my mind. Finally, another little thing that I missed was this guy who was hiding behind the monolith, and I'll admit I completely glossed over this as I first saw the picture. He's just a little bit too far away to make out clearly what's going on with him. To me, he looks a little bit similar to the Skorpekh Lord, so it makes me wonder if he might be a multi-build kit, or he could be an entirely different character, but perhaps with a different sort of battlefield role. He looks like he's got one of those glowing power orbs mounted at the top of his carapace, a bunch of wires and cables leading everywhere, a fairly sinister looking white face, and he seems to be holding up some sort of weapon of some kind in his left arm, as best I can make out. I'm genuinely quite impressed with the sheer amount of new kits that Necrons are going to be receiving here. I think we're already up to at least 10 units if not more. Their range is really going to double in size. So plenty more goodies to see. I'm sure Games Workshop will be keeping us informed over the coming weeks and months. It's really looking like Necrons are going to have a major resurgence in 9th edition. If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more similar 9th edition reviews and also regular 40k Tactics content. And if you have been enjoying the channel, I'd just like to mention my Element Games affiliate link, which is one of the ways that allows me to support the channel. Basically, if you live in the UK and are thinking of buying some models in the next few weeks, then if you click the link and order through Element, then Element gives you a small discount compared with Games Workshop prices, and a little bit of money goes to help support the channel, so it can be a way to support the channel at no extra cost to you if you were going to order in some models anyway. If you're in the US or Canada, I do have a similar one for Amazon, unfortunately not typically discounted, but it does have the advantage of working for basically anything, not just model soldiers, so again it can be an easy way to support the channel if you were thinking about buying something on Amazon anyway. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.